want to be an assessor?
Hi, hello, and welcome to an on the road podcast of So You Want to Be an Assessor. I am Kaitlyn Reeder, joined by my co-host today, Mei Beth who is driving us. Ta-da!
Ta-da! We're in beautiful California doing a scenic drive, so we're watching a camera.
Yep.
But whatever.
Yep. So she is not being rude by not making eye contact. She is watching the road because that is very safe. And
it's a much better choice.
For all those out there, do what we say, not what we do. Do not try this at home unless you also have a secretary who is going to be in the passenger seat and otherwise annoying you with questions that should be on the podcast anyway.
Not annoying. What are you talking about?
What?
No. We're okay. So, what are we going to talk about today, Kaitlyn?
I was thinking that we should talk about data validation.
Oh, that sounds like an entertaining topic.
Yeah, I mean, at least I hope so. Considering that it is not the most entertaining thing to do, I'm hoping that it's at least entertaining to hear our thoughts about it, what it is that we do as far as data validation, and what laboratories should be doing if you aren't already.
True. Data validation is something that we do as a separate job to assessing, but we use both of them for each other, right? Mm-hmm. Is that how that works?
Yeah.
It's not like we have a data validation brain and an assessment brain. Never the two shall meet. That's not how, most of the time our brain is not just to the multiple places anyway. Sorry. So, we're going to talk about data validation. It is something that labs have to do. You don't have to do quite the same level that we do as third-party validators, data validators, which is what we're talking about when we do that as a side gig.
So we are third-party validators, and we tend to go through different data package levels. So whether that be level 2, that is just kind of a very, you look at the results, you look at the chain of custody, you get a little bit of information, and that's about it.
Look at the QC, just the high-level QC.
High level.
The results of the QC, not any raw data, not any of that stuff. You just look at, hey, here are the percent recoveries for your duplicates. Here are the recoveries for your LCSs and stuff. So
any project managers out there might know what a level 2 report looks like. We will get to look at those and validate them according to, I just blanked on the rules.
QAPP?
Yes, that's
it's so many.
Yeah. There's so many acronyms.
And those are project specific, right? They change based on the customer and what they're looking for, and so there can be different rules for every lab, just like there can be different rules for every client that you have in a laboratory. But anyway, we'll focus more on what we do as far as third-party data validation, because that's probably more interesting than what y'all do as data validation in the lab, which is probably not much more than a level 2 unless there's a problem.
Right.
So we start with, does the chain of custody match the sample IDs, things like that? So is there a, what's that thing called? The narrative.
The case narrative. Was everything received within holding time, on ice, not on ice? If it's not on ice, is the temperature in an acceptable range, or is the temperature not acceptable? Other things that we might look for is if it has been preserved and everything was preserved prior to coming on site, or if it needed to be preserved while on site in a laboratory, all that we look at.
All those things that when we come in as assessors and say, do you write down the temperature that what the samples were found at when you got them in the cooler? Do you write down this? And those are the things we look at as validators. So see, somebody cares. They can write that down.
So do tell your sample receiving personnel that they are doing a good job and that someone is genuinely curious about these conditions and these things.
What they're doing.
Because
right.
we need to know.
Yes, we do want that information.
Yeah. And so that's where we start. And we will notate any issues, whether they be, I don't know, flaggable offenses, or if they're just something that we'll need to look at going forward through the data. Now, you and I tend to do a lot of level 4s.
That's true. And most of the time, third-party validation is really only needed on level 4s because level 2s labs do themselves and so on and so forth. So
right.
Most of the time, if people are actually going to pay for somebody to do a validation, they want them to know what they're doing and look at the actual data, not just the report that's 5 pages long, and say, looks good to me. So
true. So with that in mind, going forward, we then will go through a little bit further into the actual report, which usually at that point, it's the samples. We do take a note of all of the samples and the dates that they were taken, received, and then also whenever they were batched and processed. We look at all of those timelines to make sure that everything met holding time, met the qualifications within the actual test. If some of them are more tight as far as preservation times, or if they're, longer being preserved, then we'll make sure that they got done within the timely manner for the project-specific parameters.
Yes, because remember, client requests, the QAPP in this case, could define that, we really don't care how long these samples sit around. And so the whole time doesn't mean anything to us. We don't care if there's a 28-day holding time or a 14-day holding time. And so we typically note it in our reports to say it was outside the 7-day, whatever the method holding time was, but that it was okay for the clients.
Right. From there, we'll then look at the QC. So we will look at method blanks, LCSs, matrix spikes, matrix spike dupes, and make sure to note if the matrix spike dupe was done on a client sample. Because a lot of the time the client may want their sample to be done as the matrix spike dupe. But if they aren't specifying that, then the laboratory has free range and it becomes more of a quality systems data point for us than something we are actively tracking. Would you say?
Right. We look at the matrix spikes to make sure that they are done at the percentage or whatever that the method requires. But if it's a method that has a low percentage and the client hasn't said, you will do a matrix spike on this sample, then we don't care. Except to say, yes, they did enough matrix spikes. They did 10% of matrix spikes. If that's what the method requires.
Yep.
So, yeah.
We look at QC, and then we also do look at the raw data. So we will go through ICV, CCV.
Okay, wait a second.
Did I miss something?
Yes. Well, it's kind of in here.
Okay.
The method QC. Sometimes there's additional QC on a per method basis, right?
That's true.
The serial dilution. PDS, is that what it's called? The post-digestion
spikes.
Those are both metals things. The ICSA, ICSA, those are like in
Surrogates
between, what
as well.
yeah, surrogates and the internal standards. Those are things that we're also looking at. So all of that fun stuff that you do in a laboratory is being looked at. It's nice to know that it's used, huh?
Yeah, we are looking at it. We are using it to I was about to be like, validate your data, obviously. It's the same.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. Data validation.
Oh boy. It's a good number or an okay number.
Confirm that your data was created in a controlled environment. That your systems are in control, which is what all of that QC is used to confirm.
Yeah.
And so we just look at that and have some clue what it means. So that we can say, yes, it looks like this laboratory was in control, and therefore the numbers that they are showing you on the samples are
good and usable,
accurate
numbers that you can then base whatever project it is that it's being used for, that we don't that really care about the final usage, but then you have a level of confidence in that number for your specific project.
Yes. There you go.
Yeah. And you and I spend a lot of time putting these reports together.
We do. I do it. I get EDDs from labs, and so I make tables that look a lot like the tables that are sent in the reports from the labs. What's really cool is when they match.
Oh, wow.
Like when my table of the method blanks run for this method matches the method blanks that the lab sends, it's a great thing.
Oh, I love that.
Especially since, the lab sent us the data.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it's just put into a different way to look at it. So the labs can look at it and with more words.
Yeah. So the client can look at it and have an idea. We also include summaries as well as a handful of other verbiage of, if there are any problems, what sort of flags we may flag them with, and how likely that is to impact the actual number. And we'll highlight and we'll color things because obviously we want to make it as user-friendly as possible. And also it helps us when we are going back through and editing each other's, because we want more than one eye on this study's reports.
There's a lot
There's
of data.
so much data that we go through.
Yeah. And I think I stopped you from talking about the raw data.
Oh, right. That's where I was going. We do look at the raw data, which is where I was going. So we look thoroughly through the surrogate tables as well as the ICVs, CCVs. We'll start with the tables. Sometimes we do dive deeper into the data itself when there are a handful of questions. We look at your run logs as well to make sure that the samples were actually run when we think they were run. And if
they had bracketed CCB, if that's necessary for that method. We even go so far as to look at chromatograms sometimes.
Oh, yeah. Well, and especially for like the BFB checks, I'd say that's where I mostly look at chromatograms, because they are, at this point, I have a very good idea of what it looks like. So I've calibrated my eyeballs to look for it.
Right. Well, and the other things that you're trying to make sure are right, like on your pesticide PCBs, where you are checking for the dieldrin, indrin, DDT breakdown. Is that there? Does it pass? For your benzo B and benzo K on HA70 that don't always separate well. Are they separated? Have we done a test to confirm that the valley is at least 50% of the height of the leaves, or whatever their requirement is? So those sorts of things are part of what is included in a third-party validation.
And I mean, I don't know about you, but I always like seeing data validation projects, mostly because that means that I get to be home for a little while to actually look at some of this data and write up these reports. And it is a nice pay week, for me at least, being at home.
We can make money while at home,
Yeah.
which doesn't happen for assessors.
No, not really.
I mean, yes, we get paid for some of our time creating reports, writing reports, getting ready for assessments. That's all included as part of our fee, the way that we cost it. But it doesn't feel the same because the on-site time, the travel time to get there, and all of that fun stuff is what is part of what we're doing and what we're getting paid for. And the travel is most definitely the hardest part of that.
Yes, I agree. Speaking of travel, since we are in a rental car, welcome to the rental car.
Yeah.
Here's a tour.
This is an unusual rental car for us.
This is an unusual rental car. So this is actually a Jeep Rubicon. I will insert a picture of Mei Beth and I with the car here.
It's hysterical. Okay, honestly, the reason why do we have this car, Kaitlyn?
So we have this car because
It's
the rental company, we actually went up to the desk, and they gave us an option between a Jeep,
something, and
something.
I didn't hear what it was.
What was it? A Ford something, and like a
In a Chrysler
something. I don't know if you know this, but we don't know cars.
Yeah, we go by color.
Yeah, and vibes.
Yeah.
Strictly a vibes.
Uh-huh.
And as someone who used to drive a Jeep for about 10 years, I have a vibe for a Jeep. So being the only one that we recognize, we were like, let's do the Jeep. And so now we are in a Jeep truck. And the envy of our lap.
I know. We walked out to the car and we were like, oh shit, this is bummer. Well, I was not expecting this kind of a Jeep.
Yeah. So fancy. Oh my gosh. Just luxury.
It's a pickup truck Jeep. I don't drive pickup trucks, so here I am driving a pickup
truck.
And it's a Jeep, so we had to, get step stools to get into it.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It is a solid jump to get in because they do not have the bars.
Yeah, or the
step bar.
The bar or the what do they call those things? Anyway.
I don't know. It needs stairs.
It does. So the lab this morning, they said that we got there and they said, are you kidding me? And I was worried that people were going to be thinking, why are they in a
Why are we in such a fancy vehicle here?
And it's just because we didn't say no.
Yep. So it doesn't have a trunk. So this is all of our stuff that's piled back here.
Yeah, because we didn't want it in the back.
We didn't want it in the trunk trance here by using the back side. This is us here in the front. Down here we have are connected to the USB, and so we can have a map. And yeah, so it's kind of fun sometimes to try out new vehicles.
This is an adventure.
This is an adventure for sure. And maybe we'll go off-roading. Who knows?
Yeah.
We have the option, which is always nice.
Well, and we have determined that if we go off-roading, Kaitlyn's driving.
Yes.
Not a Mei Beth drive.
Yes. I shall drive, and it shall be fun, and we shall get mud all up and in these tires.
Perfect. All right.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode of So You Want to Be an Assessor. We will be posting fairly regularly now, hopefully. Going
It's our
forward.
intention.
At
Yes.
the attention. That's what we're setting up ourselves for this year.
Yeah.
So if you like our content, as always, please like and subscribe. Hit the bell notification in the corners if you want to be notified anytime we post. I can show you on your app if you like.
Okay.
Leave a comment down below. We will be doing more deep dives into certain methods. So leave a comment down below if there is a certain method you would like us to dive into. It can be popular, it can be niche. Just, give us what you want to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.